Welcome back to my channel. As promised, today's video will be a room tour of my Living Dead Dolls collection. Please forgive some clutter with coffins and other packaging. Many of the coffins have death certificates and chipboards that I have extras of because of the variant dolls in my collection. So without further ado, here's my room tour. Now, first, on my door of the room is a print that I purchased at the Chiller Theater a couple of years back, signed by both Damian Blahnik and Ed Long. It was by an artist named Louis Rusomano, and this image was featured on their calendar, their first and only Living Dead Dolls calendar. So here, this print is a more of a realistic depiction of those characters. Really cool. And I just adore it, and that's what adorns my front door to my doll room. I want to show you the before pictures of what this room looked like before my husband and I moved in, and what my husband did with this room is truly amazing. Just how he transformed it and pretty much got rid of all of the old roses and the awful red paint, and to this day, it's the most favorite thing that my husband's ever given me is my doll room. So, are you ready? Get excited. Here we go. On the other side of the door was this political tie-in during the 2016 election with Sadie for president. Unfortunately, the only thing I do not have is the t-shirt that belongs to it, but it makes for a great decor on the door. And here is my room. So I'm not going to go through each and every one of the dolls. I'm going to explain pretty much how I set it up. And I have other guests in this room that are not Living Dead dolls, but they fit within the theme of the spooky vibe. Okay? So first we're going to start in the center, or almost the center of the room. Actually, to the left anyway. Okay, and here is series 1 through 4. Now the challenge of this room was the many windows that take up the wall space. So many of the shelves are between the windows. This room gets very cold in the winter time, and it's not so bad in the summertime in terms of the heat. Okay. So the chipboards are fastened to the shelves with putty. And I find it's the best method in displaying the chipboards. Now, I wanted to display the dolls with their death certificates, but I found a better way to store the death certificates. Here's series 5. So I call the top shelf the top rope. So each of the dolls on the very top shelf all have Kaiser stands. I don't even waste my time with cheap stands. These are expensive, hard to replace dolls, so they get the very best. And here's series 7. So this room is very narrow. I really can't have too many people in the room at a time. And I can't step too far back because then I'll bump into the middle towers behind me. So all series dolls 1 through 35 are on the walls. There are some dolls you might have seen on shelves that don't belong to that series, such as Cookie and Misery and Tragedy. But I wanted to get as many dolls on the wall as possible. Okay, and here on my table are my porcelain dolls of Abigail and Posey and my porcelain head knockers. Here, this book has all my death certificates for all the dolls. On top of my porcelain dolls are these adorable plushes from last Halloween called Snackles. They're just adorable. Here is my mini display. And on top is another doll series called Zombies Forever. I have more. I'll show you on the other side. And this is the Club Mez box that my Jeepers came in. And just a creepy rat and the skeleton cat. Now, the rat actually came with a doll that I ordered from a seller. And I just thought it was hilarious, so it became part of my decor. And here's more of my series dolls. And if this is your first time watching my channel, I am currently doing all the series dolls. So I highly recommend watching those videos. So this series and series 18 are not in chronological order. They're one of the few exceptions because I love the Halloween series all together. So I chose to have them together on this shelf. And so 17 is above them. And this is 16, again, like I said, and this is 18. I have more series dolls up here. This is series, right on top is series 19, The Children of the Night. Yes, I am missing one doll in particular. Yes, I am. But don't they look great together? Okay. And next is another series with their variants, series 20. Dios de los Muertos. Love this series. Okay. The little cupcakes that you see are from an artist at this toy convention, and I just simply love the cupcakes, and I thought it would be great decor for my room. So that's why you might see a couple of them throughout. Okay. And next is series 21, right here. So this particular shelf is a little bit crowded because it has an extra doll. Because series 22, the zombies, they have a chase doll by the name of Patient Zero. But I managed to get them to fit just fine. Next is series 23, the Tea Party series. Here's 24. And series 25. There's a little decor. I'll talk about that in my video when I talk about that series. Here's one of my favorite series, the Season of the Witch. Now, don't know if you know this, but if you're new to collecting Living Dead dolls, there are 3 sisters, and I really wanted to display them as close together as possible. So here's Tenebrae. So she is directly above her two sisters. Okay. They look really cute together. I used to display them together when I didn't have the whole collection. Okay, here is my banner of Series 30. Love this banner. It's beautiful. Okay. And on top is the International Demons. This is Series 27. And here, Series 28. See that cupcake again? Again, really cute, especially with the birthday party theme. So when the room does get very cold, this room does warm up very nicely. So, for example, of dolls that don't belong with the series, I have Sadako from The Ring. She goes well with the theme, so like I said, I have her on the shelf, but it's temporarily because I'm hoping to get all of the glow-in-the-dark variants of Series 31. Here's Series 30. Since I have all the variants, they are occupying the larger shelf. Okay, and they also have those cabinet cards. Again, I will go in detail. Now, in the center of my room, okay, are exclusives, sub-series, and my Resurrection dolls. Okay, so on the top, we have the Living Dead Dolls board game. It's a cool game, a little bit convoluted, and you have to have 3 players or more. My husband and I, we did play it once, and we had to adjust the rules a little bit for 2 players to play it. But I highly recommend this. Even if you don't play it, it's a great piece of Living Dead doll history, and there's beautiful artwork in the game itself. Okay, and here are my Return of the Living Dead dolls. So here I have Sadie. So, apologize about the light. It's not the greatest light in this room. Let me see if I can improve on it. And that's a little better. So here's my Sadie with all her accessories. She has part of the fashion pack that they came with. So some of those accessories are here. And she has a little dress rack for that little cape. Okay. And I also have next to her is her capelet that she came with her doll. Okay. Here's my exorcist with the Bunny of Doom. So I incorporated their coffins because they are really nice coffins. So I made it part of their display. Here's my Sin and Damien. He's holding one of the fashion pack books. And last but not least, Posey. Okay. Here is the Living Dead Dolls in Wonderland. So here's the book on top. Okay. Now, since the dolls from these series didn't come with chipboards, I made my own. These are white liquid chalkboards that I got from Amazon. And here's a guest character, Alice from the American McGee video game. Okay. And here's the white rabbit. There's my Oz. Okay. And within these towers, you can fit a lot of dolls. Risers are key. So on top is the the Witch of the West and the Wizard. And here's Dorothy and their friends. And the flying monkeys are tied to the pole, so it looks like they're flying. And then there are the little munchkins. Okay, next are my retail exclusives. So I have them together. Some of them are just paired off with other duos. So here's the great Zombini and Viv next to Mr. Graves and Abigail. Okay, here's my Sinister Minister and Bad Habit complete series. There's my Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. And here's my other duo of Romeo and Juliet and Edgar Allan Poe. Okay. On top are my rag dolls from Living Dead Dolls. And here's my Sadie, Mezco plush Sadie. And I have her stationery set. I have this special sticker sheet, really cool. I got it from a haul that had a lot of stationery items, and also including my lunch boxes. Really cool. Okay, here are my other exclusives. Here's Jack the Ripper, Bonnie the Pirate, my Jeepers and Walpurgis. Another dynamic duo set of Died in Doom and the Bad Doctor and Nurse. Okay. And Psycho Billy and Twisted Love. Okay, here are my resurrections, or what starts my resurrection. So here's Series 1, Series 2, 3, and I have Series 4, Part 1, which is the Died in Doom and the variant set. Okay, here's Hazel and Hattie, Res and the variant set. Okay, here's Series 5, Resurrection. Series 6 and 7 are together because for a long time I only had Kill Baby from that series. So I recently got Revenant, who was part of her series, and that's where her chipboard is. Yeah, variant Blue, regular Miss Eerie, and variant Demonique. And then there's my Walpurgis and the variant. Hoping to get the Glow in the Dark one day. Okay. And my almost complete Living Dead dollies. I recently got Schizo this year. And there's some guests in the crib. Karomi, a little rubber ducky from The Nun. And she's not a bad girl, but she definitely would like Living Dead dolls, Louise Belcher. And here's the Creepy Cuddlers with Exorcist. So I actually painted this crib. It was from Target. It was a bed for an 18-inch doll, and I turned it into a crib for them. And I cut out the packaging and glued it on there. Okay. Other side is Resurrection 9. So it's a little out of order because Resurrection 8 is a bigger set that I have completed. So here's Resurrection 10. And behind them, the two variants that I have, Angus and Purdy. So I had to get really creative to squeeze all 4 sets of the Resurrections of Series 8. So again, because I didn't have a chipboard, I made my own. And so for the Chaos capsules, what they came with, they have the little tiles. Okay, and those are the variants, the 1 of 50. And then we continue to Resurrection Ring. Like Walpurga, she was a solo doll. And here we have Resurrection 11, almost complete. It's complete. And like I said, risers are definitely my friend. Okay, here are the talking Resurrection dolls. I put them together, even though they came out in different years. And here are the resurrections, the very last ones of Series 12 of Frozen Charlotte and her variant, and Maggot and her variant. Here are two custom Life style dolls of my favorite doll from Series 28, the Sweet 16 series of Onyx. And next to her is Resurrection Inferno as a Blythe doll. I'll talk about them in a different video. They're made by this French artist named Teddy Jeremy. Very talented artist. Love his work. And next to them are the lunch boxes and trading cards. Now this tower is the anniversary tower. So here's the 10th anniversary with my Exorcist. My blue Eggie, you know, I just want to put her with the other Eggies, but she's not technically an anniversary. But she just looks cute with them. Here is the 13th anniversary doll set of Sadie and Sin. And some memorabilia, the glow-in-the-dark cup, and a little card advertising this event that they had. Next is the Sweet 16 posies. And then is the 20th anniversary version of Series 1. Now, Candy Rotten is missing from that, but she's displayed somewhere else. So here are more exclusives. Okay. Here are my Halloween exclusives. Jack-o'-lanterns and Sweet Tooth. Okay, and I have the two pins from Sweet Tooth attached to her chipboard. Oh, same thing with Sin. I have this special Sin pin with her chipboard. There's the Vespers. And there's my Christmas one. My Christmas dolls of, it's a little tight, of Krampus, the Toy Soldier, and the Nohels. Here is the calendar I mentioned that the print mimicked. That's from the first and only calendar they came out with, 2012. It's the Living Dead Dolls Art Show book that came out. And here's the Halloween exclusive Gabrielle with the mask and t-shirt. Here on this tower are my Scary Tales. There's my Little Red Riding Hood with the wolf, being the beast. Jack and Jill and Hansel and Gretel. Now, Jack and Jill are not part of the Scary Tales, but it just seems fitting to put them together. So they're honorable members of that line. Same thing with Rotten Sam and Sandy. Not part of the Scary Tales, but again, theme-wise, they go perfect. Standing next to Bo Creep, who was all by her lonesome self, because Little Miss Muffet was never released. And here, last but not least, on this shelf is the Headless Horseman variant and Snow White and her evil stepmother. Here are my two fashion victims of Hollywood and Inferno, and next to them are their outfits. More customs. I did talk about these two before, and this one is from an artist known as Angel Cardenas or Cryptic Oasis. Here's that book that I talked about in previous videos, signed by Ed and Damien. And down here are my Presents dolls, Otis and Cindy from the House of a Thousand Corpses, Sam's Trick or Treat, and Elvira. Now again, they didn't come with chipboards, so I made these handmade chipboards for them. Oh, I forgot to mention this cool Mezco toy that Damien Glonick named and created the Fortunes. I'll talk about her in a later video. And last but not least, the last wall of my series dolls. Okay, here's series 32, Halloween. Okay. The Moulin Morgue, 33. The Cole Kids, series 34. The little pin that they had in their series. And series 35, featuring Candy Rotten. And I have the Candy Rotten from the 20th anniversary set. I felt it was too crowded on that bottom shelf, and she really does belong with the pink counterpart. Okay. Now this center display here is a mixture of Mattel Skeletor dolls and Living Dead Doll Presents. So here's my Beetlejuice collection. Okay, here's more Tim Burton, Corpse Bride, Nightmare Before Christmas, Edward Scissorhands, LDD, with the Skeletor. And here are figurines from Tim Burton's, I can't remember the name of the title, but I'll insert it in the edit. My Wednesday collection. The Cousin It. Cousin It is from Five Below, still available. This is from Pop Mart, My Wednesday, who comes with a thing attached. Here are more Presents with their Skeletor counterpart. Now, the two dolls in the center are from a highly overlooked and underrated set from the movie Us. I wish Mezco invested in non-white horror characters. Okay, and that's Megan next to the Skeletor Megan from Mattel. And lastly are my Shining Twins with the Skeletor and I guess Kitty. My Wednesday is not displayed. I don't have a proper pedestal for her, but she will be displayed soon. And last is my display, which features my Twilight Zone 8-inch figures and my talkie Tina. Okay, and this cabinet has my little Apple dolls with their books. Here are my Crypt Kitties and these really fun plushes that I'm going to talk about later when Halloween comes around. More Skeletor dolls. There's Coraline, the very controversial Coraline. The best Skeletor Mattel ever made. The Gremlins Greta. Second runner-up is the Dracula one. Creature from the Black Lagoon. Alien Mother. And my two token Leading Edge Goth dolls. In front of them are my Pocket Full of Posies doll. And more Zombies Forever dolls. I have some guest mini vinyl dolls, figurines. And here, this bottom shelf, not sure what to do with it just yet, but this was made by hand that I picked up at a convention. And these are more plushes that I'll talk about in another video. And that's it. That is my complete room tour. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a labor of love. I am constantly tweaking it. There are things I wanted to be part of the display. I have, for example, the Living Dead Dolls blanket. I wanted it to be framed and hanging in the room. I also have this gorgeous Sin art print that I wanted to frame and have it displayed, but I keep waiting and waiting, and sometimes there's never a perfect time. So, and life's too short. Am I right? So I hope you enjoyed my room. Giving you an overview one more time. Okay. And also you can see that my light is not that great because there are no ceiling lights, so it's all lamps. So stay tuned for more videos of Living Dead Doll content. Thank you so much for watching. Please share any feedback, any questions about things that were displayed that you want more information on. Be happy to answer those questions. And as always, happy hunting.